Hi there, welcome to another of my videos, which is a short tutorial on painting sepia pictures, which were featured in an exhibition. These were actually done after a request by a gallery owner in Sozopol called Rumen, and these are for you, Rumen. So this one's called the Old Windmill, which is it's now a restaurant in Sozopol, and it's based on this postcard. So we'll start by sketching this scene out, which is roughly what we've just seen. We're going to use a very simple palette for this. You can either use sepia paint, but I don't really like to use any paint straight from the tube. So this will be a mixture of sepia, raw umber, indigo and burnt umber. And these are the colours that we've got in the palette. I'm going to mix some fresh now for you so you can see what we're after. So just using a round brush, I'm just going to mix some of these colours. This is the burnt umber, this is sepia, and this is indigo. And it's a lovely combination of colours, which gives you a lovely inky brown. So we're going to add some more water to this. I usually use these mixing bowls because I find it easier to mix lots of paint in one go. There's nothing worse than having to mix some more paint up halfway through. So I'm mixing this with the consistency of milk, and if you look at that, I always use a white palette, and then I can find out what the strength is quite easily just by rubbing the brush up the side of the dish like this, and that's about the right consistency. And I will keep half adding some more paint to this as we go through, because I like to vary the tone of this. The way of painting these sepia paintings, I kind of came across by accident when I was painting in a gallery on an evening and the light was fading. I was under artificial light and it was not great for painting, so I just took out some sepia paint and just painted tonally, and they proved to be very successful. Anyway, here we go. We'll start off with just a wash of what should be clean water, and you can leave some gaps with this, it's not critical. I'm using quite a heavy paper here, and these lifting off techniques suit a heavier paper, but I'm wetting it because it's very warm today, so just give me a bit more working time. And straight into the sepia, and I'm half mixing some other colours in it, and I want this to vary in strength, and I want it to be quite dark where the windmill is. You can leave some gaps. Try and avoid puddles, sorry about that, otherwise it will give you some blot marks around the paper. Then while that's still nice and wet, take some brush, a moist brush, just dried off on tissue, and we're just taking some highlights. The light's coming from the right on this picture, so the end of these islands would be illuminated. This is actually almost made up of bird muck, this island, so this island appears very light. I'm just going to bring down what will end up being reflections from this whiteness. You've got to keep mopping this out, because as it dries it bleeds back in, so you have to kind of work at this. And there's a small lighthouse there, we'll just have a reflection of it somewhere down here. I'll just lift out a highlight just under those islands, And we'll take off a highlight from where this roof is. I have done these paintings almost in black paint and they look fantastic, but it's very difficult to see where your drawing is underneath. So all we're doing is just lifting out the sails of this windmill. You have to keep washing your brush out and then wiping it on your tissue, and it gives you lovely bright highlights. And the bottom of this would be illuminated, and there's a fence and some steps here, so we'll just try and pick out some of that. Just going to keep working on these sails because it's an important part of the picture. Looking good. You can see down here how the reflection has almost gone, so I'm just going to work on that a little bit more. It's drying really fast today, so I'm having to work like below here. I'm using a small brush and some dark colour. I'm just using a little bit of indigo mixed with some sepia. I'm just going to add some darks here, under here. Let's try and indicate this on the island and under here. Maybe a little bit along there, and we'll just do some reflections. Just run a couple of horizontal lines here. It's important when you paint in water that you work in a horizontal way, because if you don't, you end up with water that slopes, and water never goes uphill or downhill. Okay, I'm just going to leave that to dry a little bit now. Just working a little bit more on these sails. I might just add a little bit of dark on the back edge. And just using a little bit of light red oxide mixed with some green, which in this case is hooker's green. Just going to add a little bit of colour onto this roof. And then using a flat brush, I'm going to add a little bit of indigo to give us some shadow colour under here. Okay, looking nice now. Right, I'm just going to turn the video camera off now. I just want to dry this with a hairdryer and I don't want you to hear the noise, so be back in a mo.